yeah, so we can figure that out. I'm just getting the stream going here now. It's just taking me and were you able just to go to find my page there? Okay, and so I am, do you see the live stream? There you go. Let's see how slow is, how long is, yeah, I don't see myself in play, so I don't know how far behind. There we go. I'm making the peace sign. So anyway, so uh, okay, no, not at all. And I should probably, I'm going to turn off the audio. So that'll be interesting. Okay, so everybody in the room, if you're interested, we'll give this a try. Basically, NYCapture YouTube, you can go to my YouTube page and you will see the stream there. If everybody wants to maybe like blink, like, you know, give a hand clap, a few people once you've gotten there, then I can start to see if you've gotten there. And if there's anybody that wants to have me edit their photo to start, like I said, ideally Sony, but I'm happy to do somebody from the audiences. So if you got a Sony file and you want me to edit it, raise your hand and hold it up. If you don't, I'll just get started doing. Guys are all not brave here with new technology. Maybe you're sitting on a, you know, I had to go and take a shower for this. Clubhouse, the whole point of Clubhouse is you don't have to shower. Nobody can see you. I had to get dressed on my Sunday night, clothes on, and shower for this. So I went all out. Love to kind of get started here and try it out. It may not work very well. Hey Sasha, how are you? I don't know. I don't know. You could try. I don't know with Sony. I just have Capture One for Sony, so I don't know if you can open TIFF files from another camera. How it maybe. But Camera One. I mean, I only use Capture One really for color grading it a little bit and stuff like that. So I can do it in Photoshop, and the majority of the stuff I was going to. So yeah, why don't, if you want to send me that, that's fine. Unless there's anybody else that has, there's no Sony shooters here. If anybody has a file they want me to, that would really get started with the Capture One and stuff. And how about any of you guys down there able to see the live stream? You want to give a hand clap if you, anybody do that. So if you Google NYCapture photography, or just NYCapture, you see this. I'll put it. Oh, okay. Yes, there you go. So that's there. So people have to. Some people like raise their hand for a second. I think that still learning here, and something new on Clubhouse every day. Hi, Deborah. How are you? Great. Great. And Nice. And so, yeah, I'll just keep this waiting. I'll start this about maybe 5 minutes here, and just anybody. So the two things, if anybody has is a Sony shooter or not, and Sasha, if you want to email me in the meantime, it's NYCapture@gmail, and you could email me the file. Um, and anybody else, if they have a Sony, they shoot with Sony. If they want to send a Sony raw file that I could do, that would be great. Um, and uh, and that's really it. Like, I'm just going to do a walkthrough, going through my process, and I don't claim to be the greatest in the world here. I think I'm pretty good at it, but I'm happy if anybody wants to come up, if they have questions, just raise your hand. I'll bring you up. And if you have, you know, you're like, what the heck are you doing? Why are you doing it like that? There's a much better way to do that or something. I'm more than happy to listen to that. I would love to learn if kind of a better way to do something. There's so many different ways to do stuff when it's editing is concerned. Um, and so, I don't think there's one right way, but I'm happy to learn other people's way. I'd say let me get kind of in a flow, and I'll kind of stop at certain points and stuff, and you can chime in if you have like a question or if you have a different way of doing it. But anybody that wants, feel free to raise your hand and come up. Um, and I'm just trying this out. We'll see. So I think, like I said, I'll talk and kind of go through a step or two. And then if there's questions or feedback, or like, let me know. Again, you go to anybody that just came in. Let me, Joan, would you mind being hang for a little while and make you a moderator and just tell people every once in a while we'll reset the room, and you tell them how to get to my thing, so I don't have to repeat that every. You just notice people coming in and stuff. Make you. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Yeah, that's got a portrait or a headshot. Yeah, more face. There's going to be some skin. And look at that. Somebody Angel left me a comment in my live chat. So if you want to type something or you have a question, there's another way you can do it. Go. So almost guy, I'm just waiting for Sasha's going to send me an image. I'll try to do that. And file, but anybody else, if basically going to go through a walkthrough, you can go, if you Google NYCapture YouTube, be able to find my YouTube channel on the live stream there. Just going to walk through my process a bit, and you guys can watch along on the stream. And if you have questions, you can type them in there. That may be easier, or you're welcome to raise your hand here and ask any questions. And I don't know how many people, I'll try to do I'm not going to do like the most intense deep dive. I mean, I'll do a few different techniques, but, I'll try to keep this moving so I don't spend 3 hours on one photo here. And, but, we'll try to do them in, 20 minutes, then go on and maybe do a couple people. Again, this is just to like kind of, do some of you may not, be familiar with some of the techniques, and some of you may be, and you're veterans. Again, if you have like, I'm doing something wrong, or you know a better way to do it, please raise your hand and let me know. More than happy to. Let me see. His file came in here. No, I got it. I got it. Okay. And let's see if I. It should. I mean, I don't know. It just if it has the. We'll see. We're trying to usurp. Okay, so here we go. I've got the image here. If it lets me. So I get started. Basically, again, we'll just go through the process. So I first thing I do is import the images. I have a Sony, so I do use um, the. I take it off the camera and I transfer everything to my computer. Then once I do that, I go first into Capture One, and 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 make some minor adjustments and kind of flatten out the image a little bit. Um, and then I go into Photoshop and dive a little deeper. Um, so the first thing that I would do, the first thing I would do is honestly would be adjust some of the camera settings, but because this is from, it's not from my camera, I'm not going to mess with that. With some of the distortion settings and things like that. But one of the first things I do is take. Alex. Yeah. No, but I don't think that it's not going to have the camera information in here. The profile's not yet. It's locked. So. It's not. That's where I think that the Sony it would pick it up directly from the file, and it's not. It's grayed out. I can't even change it. That's going to be one of the features that. No, but I'm saying because this is the Sony version of Capture One, it's not. It's grayed out. It's not going to allow me to type in my own lens or my own or whatever. But, so you can't make those. You can't make that adjustment. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's all like it's grayed out. I can't even. Nothing I can do with that. In like if you open it in Bridge or in Lightroom, you can see where you see all of the camera information. Like if I open um, in Capture One, it's under. If you're seeing, it's under the third tab here, with the lens correction tab. Um, you would be able to right here. You'd see the profile. You'd be able to change the profile here, and you're not able to. The third tab. See if I see. I'll show you one of the ones. If I show you like one of my images here, raw file. If I go to lens, got the manufacturer profile, and I can move the distortion. I can adjust it. It finds it automatically. Which I actually, if you notice, like it's at 100%. I always turn it off completely because to me that looks bowed out. So I like to go like that. I don't know. I've been struggling with that lately, deciding what I want with that. So, but anyway, let's go back to. Um, let's go back. I think it. I don't think. Honestly, I don't think that it is. I don't think it needs any distortion correction or anything. I think it looks good. So really quick intro. Amen. And go to Can't watch myself while I'm watching you guys though. So anyway, so let's go in here. We're going to start off. We got the image. We opened up. We're in Capture One with it. So the first thing I would do would be to go and make some basic adjustments here. I'm going to go first over to what this is, the Details tab, Capture One, and take the sharpening down. It is down already. I take the sharpening off because you don't want the skin sharp, but when you're going to go in and start editing. So I'm going to leave that down. And then I'd go back over to the this exposure tab, and I'm just going to check and look at the exposure. I mean, it's pretty well exposed. Maybe I'd bring highlights down a little bit, and maybe pull the shadows up a little bit, tiny bit. See the detail in the clothes. Bring the blacks up a little bit. See more of that detail comes out. Again, at the end stage, you may want it kind of the way that it was, but I want to be able to see when I'm editing, see these details and so I think that's pretty good. I'm not going to mess with the clarity, decay, any of these things. And the color, the only thing I'd maybe mess with the white balance a little bit. Again, that's to taste. I don't know, what was your background color? What was the wall? Sasha, what color? Yeah. Okay. So I think I kind of like it like this, but that's a personal taste. And again, I don't know how with the live stream, I have pretty high resolution. It's all set up pretty good, I think, but I don't know, how perfect it's going to be seeing colors and things like that through this. Actually, let me switch them. Because my monitor can switch to different color. I think this should be good. So the image looks pretty flattened out to me. And now I'm going to go right click on it over here and export, open it with, edit with Adobe Photo. And it should open up. I leave it 16-bit, uncompressed, Adobe RGB. We're using resolutions 300, all this stuff. It's the standard. I hit edit there. So now I'm going in. Good. It makes a copy of it here. If you were using a raw file, it would make a TIFF copy. And then you go edit the TIFF copy in Photoshop, make changes, and then when you save it, it automatically goes back into Capture One. So now we're going to open up in here and up in Photoshop. So here's the image in Photoshop. And as we're getting starting, just to everyone down below here, so we're just getting started. If you want to see the live stream, where I literally just made some basic adjustments, flattened out the image in Capture One, just starting Photoshop. Want to see? Go to the live to see the live stream. Go just Google NYCapture and go to my YouTube channel, YouTube Capture. Live stream there. Just about to edit. Have anybody down below is a Sony shooter ideally and want me to edit one of their files, raise your hand, come up and tell it to me, and maybe we can get to that. And other than that, or if somebody else, I can do, something else. If you have questions or you want to come up, if you're seeing something I'm doing and you have, questions about or something, up, point. Just here to help everybody. If there's anything I can impart, but if you have any feedback or anything that you want to chime in to help, I would love that. And I thought I'd give it a shot. And I hope to do, not to plug myself too much here, but if you're on the YouTube and you want to follow, I do hope to be more active there and doing more reviews and tutorials and lighting things, all kinds of things. So follow if you want to. Anyway, getting rolling here. I'll let Jones do the next one, and I'll. So the first step I do is to go to the background layer and hit Control J. I'm on a Windows PC, so you guys know I don't know all of the. I think it's Command J, Control and Command autonomous. Don't know all of the Apple commands. So just listen to what I'm doing. You can always do it by right click on it and duplicate layer. But I'm using the shortcut is Control J and I duplicate because you don't want to make edits to your original layer. You want to keep that untouched. Back to that. So I've duplicated the layer. And I don't think on this image, because it's not a beauty image, it's more of a portrait or a headshot, you know, I'm not going to go into frequency separation layer. We may on the next two, but what I would say, I could do a little frequency separation if we wanted to maybe even up, but I actually like that line gives a little definition, something. We don't need to get crazy with take out wrinkles. I think that looks good. So basically just going to remove a few blemishes, do some color grading of it, and that's really it. I mean, it's a pretty good exposure. I wouldn't spend a lot of time. That's an important lesson to learn. Look at the self-portrait I took. I just got this new backdrop the other day. My profile picture. I edited it, and the JPEG that came out of the camera looks better than the. So, and I'm starting to like less is more. Although I'm here doing this editing room and getting into stuff, less is more, and you have to think about it. So the first step, get started here. Some people like to do this is create a blank layer. So go to the bottom right here, layer, then get a paintbrush, then pick a color, maybe like red or black or something. Red. Lower the opacity to say about 80. And then go in and draw lines on what am I going to fix. So do I want to fix maybe this little bit of hair? Maybe flatten this out just a little bit, those few hairs. Maybe you could give them a closer shave on the side here if you wanted to. But you know, you don't have to go crazy with that. But I would get rid of this hair. I would get rid of the highlights that are here. Maybe a little bit, you know, it's a man, so I think like a portrait of a man, you want it to have some lines, some character and stuff like that. You don't want to go crazy. Again, the teeth look great. And so I don't think you want to like super whiten them. Maybe we could whiten them a tiny bit or something like that if we wanted to. And maybe give the eyes a little bit, tiny bit of love. I think, you know, the clothing looks pretty good. I might something with that, lower this just a maybe get rid of this bump, a couple of the bumps, and that's about it. So that gives me, you know, I do this to kind of see what do I want to work on. Just you know, the layer that tells me what are we going to. So the first thing I would do is go on this first layer and pick whichever tool you like. I like the patch tool. But I also use the spot healing brush or the healing brush and the clone stamp, all these things. For something like this, when I'm using the patch tool, I usually use the mouse, but I do have a tablet that. So I would come in here and just start to patch away, you know, like little stuff. Again, not you know, freckles and things that are there for life, but like things, blemishes that aren't there all the time, you know, that aren't going to be there for life. You know, I'd come in and get rid of the thing. And the patch tool. And here's this white spot here. These hairs can be a pain in the neck. And because if I wanted to use the patch tool and I come over here and I select this, because it's connected up here, it's going to smudge. I mean, that wasn't too bad, but anytime that the object that you're selecting that you try to copy, it's smudged. It'll cause a smudge at the top here because it's connected to the darker area. So you could come in with like the clone stamp tool and break it off from, select the area next to it right here, kind of break it off, separate it so it's not connected to the other area. And then you can come in with the patch tool, kind of freestanding, and it won't smudge. So that's something that I do sometimes. But I would come in, just and I'm coming patch tool with the can do it with the spot healing brush tool here. That works. Spot healing doesn't have, you don't have to remove every single hair off their head. See that left, I don't know if you can see it close up, but that left some smudging because it's connected to the darker area. So I don't want to do that. But I think that's it. I mean, they're human beings. This isn't a high-end beauty retouch, so I don't think we need to get crazy getting rid of every single hair. But I do that. Things do start to bother me, and like this little spot here bother me. Try to do what I said, detach it from. Come in. A tip that somebody told me that I really like that I never used to do was to come in with the spot healing brush and change the blend mode of it to lighten. It is already set. Most people, it's normally just set on light on normal, but if you change it to lighten, it'll only affect lighten the darker areas. So for something like that, say this line over here, see how it does a really good job of just lightening up that dark line. So that's a tool. And I for the longest time, I always just used it on normal, but it works really well. Come in and use. So the major thing here is, I mean, you could come in, we can get crazy with the hair. I think another, here I'll go with the clone stamp again and kind of break off this piece here. Make sure the opacity is blend mode on normal for the clone. Now it's like freestanding. Then I can use something like that. But again, see, if I try to just do this, it's going to blur. So that's the little trick for that part. That if you want to break apart with something like the clone stamp tool, you can come in, you can either just use the clone stamp, but people come in and make a brush that's literally shaped like hair, and they come in and they paint the hair and things like that. So there's all kinds of things you can do. Hair is the bane of my existence. I like to trying to be better at making sure I take care of that in camera. Make sure get a hair and makeup person, have their job be to make, because it just but so those are some techniques. Maybe come like just the things that are really distracting to you. Now I'm using just the spot healing and a few of them. I mean, they're real people. They're gonna have hair. But so that's it for the hair. This is a tool. If you Jones, can you give them a little refresh there? Um, and you can ask. I'm not watching, but let me see. Did anyone ask? Okay, so um, like the Pippi Longstocking movie, there's a lag. It's interesting. I got to work on that. I'll work on the lag next time, because I don't know how you. Yeah, I don't know how you correct the lag. That would be a good thing. The next one I will do my best. Try and try to speed up the. Let me see if there's anything. Stream health is excellent. It says it's excellent. But yeah, I don't know how. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing is so yeah, just don't watch my face. Maybe even the camera is even distracting having make myself smaller here because distracting. You don't have to watch my face. That's probably watch the computer. And there's how to move right side and you don't know the answer to but yeah, in Fragilis, if you're still there, are you still? Yes. If you want to send me, we're going more like portrait dot. It's NYCapture.com. And I can look at that. And so anyway, let me close this. So now what I would do next, let's go with, I think I would, I try to do this in a good order. One thing to do with these lines, like, so you want, again, with a man, you don't want to take down all of the characteristics of the face. But one tool, just if you wanted to like kind of clean up under the eyes here or something, one tool you could use is to use the patch tool. Select this area, and want to select the area under the eyes, drag it down here, right, and hit Control Shift F, and then fade the opacity down to about that. Okay. So if you see before and after, it just lightens that up a little. So that's you know, it doesn't get rid of it completely or anything like that, but it just fades it. So again, Control Shift Patch Tool, select it, and then F, and lower the opacity to like I'd say 14, before and after. So so now there's. Yep. Nice. Yeah, that's and I think um totally get that. And I do that I think on some other steps that I do. And the other thing is that I think that the idea, the concept of overdoing something and going like 100% with it, and then pulling back from that. And so you can see the effect of what you're doing and then dial it down. But I think that's a great way to make a lot of the changes that we do, that you can see the effect of what it's. Um, and but a downside of that too is that I do think I am a victim of it. We all over edit way too much. I think that's become a problem, and it's like skin doesn't look like skin, and people are like, have no imperfections or anything like that. And so like I'm trying to get like, that's why I did it, just tiny touch, you can see the difference, but not. But I like your. Hello there, Chelsea, coming in. So far, so good. There's a little lag we're noticing on the stream, but everybody's being watch it. Okay. and I'll just reset the room while people here. So Fragiles is sending a Sony file, but basically we're just going through a walkthrough of my editing process. And if anybody has any questions, raise your hand, come up. And if you have, kind of have got another file on deck to edit, but if I'm trying to have it, ideally a Sony file, but if not, I can raw file. Just going through my process. And so far we went in, opened it in Capture One, leveled out the exposure a bit, and just flattening it out there. Didn't really took the sharpening off. So the image is kind of flat, and out, no sharpening on it, and then open it in Capture One. Duplicated it, base layer, and start to make just some adjustments to obvious blemishes. That's where we're at right now. And going to go into, I was noticing, zooming in a little bit, a couple more little imperfections. There's this thing, little spot on his neck. So I'd come in here and get rid of this. I'm using the spot healing for that. A couple little blemishes there. But that's really it. We don't have to go insane. Now, the big thing, so I was saying, there's a couple things here that I'm seeing. There is bringing Lil Beatman up here. So the next step that I would get into would be, I want to do some Liquify just a little bit, but there's still more to do with this face with these highlights and stuff. But I think I'm going to do the Liquify now, and then worry about the more in-depth stuff. So I would, yep. Thank you very much, Sasha. So I'm going to, again, this is where, like, again, if somebody has a strong feeling about this, like, I do want to get to this stuff, but I also want to get to the Liquify. Whether I should do it, first or not, but let's just do the Liquify and we'll work. So I'm going to merge these layers together, do Control Shift Alt E, and combine those images all into one layer here. And then I'm going to go into Filter and go to Liquify and open that. Good job there. And so now I got Liquify open. And so when you use Liquify, there's two things I like to do in here. Is one, you use this tool here, the Freeze Mask tool is good. If we're going to use it, say like we're going to go into his hair, push this down a little bit. Hey, put the Freeze Mask tool right around here. So you don't want to push down. There's areas you don't want to affect, cover them. That's one thing. And then you go to the top here and I do the forward work tool and make it smaller. You want to make about the size of the thing that you want to affect. Tiny bit, like a helmet head. But that can be a good tool for hair a little bit. And then I erase all mask. And I think that looks pretty good. You go preview before and after. That looks pretty good. Still looks natural. There's still some little, flyaways and stuff, but looks good. Then same thing with the clothes. I'm going to freeze mask. I I think I just want to take that little bump out. And I also think the that in a little. But again, you can't stress. I know we're in an editing tutorial here, and I'm telling you to get it right in camera. This guy looks great. Like, not lots of hair all over the place, not lots of problems, but like, the more I shoot, the more I realize get it right in camera. Um, I used to be just so wowed, like, oh, the image looks great, the lighting's great, the people great, they're beautiful, it's all good. And then you go to edit, and you're like, why am I spending so much time removing this? You know, like, if I had just that was. And unless you're gonna send some off to retouchers, and you want to give work to people and all around the world. Good, good, that's great. I think that's about it. Maybe I would lower this at that. Yeah. You like that, Sasha? It's your image. Does that work? The shoulder. Yes. Yeah. It still does distort sometimes above the on the outside of the image, like in your background, and so you got to be aware. You got to look at that and check that, because I do notice that sometimes when I do it, it does get smudged. I hit OK, and we're good, and that's the end. So where we're at from the beginning, if you hold down Alt and click on the bottom layer on the background layer, the main layer, the little eye, and hold down Alt, you can see before and after where we were, and this is where we are now. Cleaned up a little. It's not crazy thing. You want to just accentuate the image as it is. So now we're getting to the final thing. Let's get to our two things I think left to do. We've got to highlights, these highlights here, and then and let's mess with the eyes a little bit, color grade it, and call it a day. So I'm going to go back to my old school. See, I had planned to do a couple things in this one, but let's wait till the next. I don't think this needs it. Is I'm going to do the old way that I dodge and burn. I'm not going to do the new one. I'll do that in the next image. So you go to layer, new layer, and click mode, make it overlay. Click fill with the overlay neutral color, 50%. So that's about it there. And then you go to your dodge and burn tools over here. We're going to go to the burn tool and put the exposure at about, let's start with it about 8%. You want a soft brush, nice soft round brush. And I'm actually going to use my pen. And I'm not gonna like, this has a highlight. I could essentially completely remove the highlight and add color back into this and do all that, but I'm not gonna do that because I think but I am gonna just darken. No, actually, I might want to, going over it lightly. You might want to, maybe. I think that I feel like, but I love when I'm doing something for like ages and don't even realize it's not. I was doing that on the wrong layer, so I don't think it. I don't know how. I was dodging on the, that's interesting. I was dodging on the wrong layer completely. So here's a learning moment. So I dodged on top of the layer that we did the we call it liquefying instead of on my gray layer. So I'm going to go and take the history brush, not too much, put it up, and I'm gonna go back and so apologize, I made a mistake there. And now go up to this layer, go up to the gray layer, and that makes sense. And now switch back to my burn tool. Come in here. There we go. Gray layer. That's it. On this, it will. I think there's a combination of factors going on here, though. I do feel like there's a little bit of a discoloration there, so maybe I would have been better off using a method. But take the opacity down a little. I had a feeling with this image that might. So, because I don't know how much in those that spot there, the highlights, like I don't know if there's any information whether that's what I was trying to do when I was evening out the shot to begin with, and I feel like it might be gone, like there's no information highlights. So that's why when I'm trying to burn it here, it's it's not going to be perfect. So you may have to do some color correction, get in and work on that and do more skin work if you wanted to do that, if you want to make it more. So we can try. I knew this was going to be the big challenge if you wanted to make this part perfect for the highlights here. So why don't you, Sasha, what would you do? How would you even start really getting deep into it, or what would you do with it? Yeah, the forehead and the chin, like there, or then the cheek. How do you like? There's still a little bit of it. How do you like? So what I did there was make another blank layer and paint. Pick a color in the skin, and then paint over it, and then lower the opacity. Um, Yeah. Yep. No, that's what we'll do that in the next. But so that's what I did at least to get. I think if you see, um, the first layer was the dodging and burning, and I the darken. I darkened it a little bit, um, and then I took the opacity down. So that's it, totally darkened. But you can that left some discoloration. So I pulled it down maybe about 30% or so, 30. Then made a new layer and took the paintbrush and selected a color in the skin tone right near it, painted over it, changed blend mode to color, and then that added this, and then took the opacity down. That's one way to do it. There are many other ways to do it. Does anybody, just as this is a stopping point, is there anybody out there? What would you do? Have a strong suggestion? Something that I think that the highlights can't be recovered there, blown out. So, I mean, you could clone stamp and stuff and copy some skin from another area. You can do frequencies. I mean, there's dodge and burn frequency, all kinds of things. But anybody want to chime in on something before I move on? What they do in a spot like that, where the highlights are. So you would go like this, like draw a square around it. And then where is, I don't, oh, there's the history. That's showing me what's in just that square. Uh, yeah, I mean, it appears like there is some information. Because I mean, is it taking a sum of the whole area that's in the square though? Or is it just one spot? Like, because like this right there, it looks, yeah. Which, I mean, there is pretty spiked on the, yeah, I mean, it is, right? But I do not use, the other way I do dodging and burning is like a color derivative, dodge and burn. And so, no, I don't use levels. How would you go about that? Yeah. Yeah, I will have to see. Uh, can you, if you want to send, do you have, is there anywhere, any any tutorials or any place using levels to do dodge and burn that you could maybe you put in the live stream there where the questions? Or you just, how did you? Okay. Yep. Okay. Great. You know, that's a great idea. I don't really do. Um, I don't really do. That's like an old. I was trying to think on the fly, and that's why I love this. Now we've gotten two different ideas, and that's the thing. If ever anybody here, if you have your, you know, your notepad open, or you know, an old school pen, or your notepad on your phone, just want to write down these ideas, the concepts that. I can't go into a side tangent on every one of them, but look it up online. I mean, that's I've learned everything from learning from other people. And so look up, I now want to look up the concept of using using the mixer brush. I do that with my frequency separation and color. I do a bunch of other different techniques that I think also resolve this. I'm going back old school. Adding this layer and painting it was like the first idea I ever had to how to try to do something like that. But I agree with you; it's not the best necessarily. So anyway, let's keep moving forward. But again, the idea of the mixer brush and levels on dodging and burn, I think are great. Other ways to do this. So coming in, here's one tip with here's let's do something I'd say with the eyes and go in and create a curve and I have it always set to open up with the selector clicked. And I'm going to select a spot in the darkest spot here. And then I'm going to pull that down and select a spot in pull it in. Then I'm going to invert the mask, Control I, and pick a paintbrush and select, make sure it's on white, and the opacity, we can do it at 100% because we'll dial it back. Come in, I'm going to paint in around here. Paint in iris there, yeah, the pupil black part. Come around. And again, there are a billion. I have actions for eyes. I have techniques where you draw in. If the eye doesn't have a lot of detail, we could draw in around it, and make detail in the eye. There's so many things you can do. Yeah, it's basically. But I'm just coming in and maybe faintly touch the white up a little. This doesn't have a lot of red. So, you know, you could make a hue saturation layer if you want to get rid of the reds in the eye. Accents. So I lowered. It's making it's just making kind of a contrast curve. It's pulling up the it adds detail into So so here's why I'll take it off here. I make a new, I go down, make a curves layer, and then I have the selector tool up here, the top, the little finger button, and I come in and select the pupil, and then I lower that with the arrow key about so about 2 drops down, maybe 3 drops down, and then go into the highlight, select that, and then go up a couple notches. You can go actually pretty high up. You want to go, brighten it as bright as you want those eyes to be. Say like there. So now we're set with the curve, and then you want to invert. So you select on the white part of the mask here and hit draw. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. That's good to know. Let me. And again, I don't know that because I'm lagging anyway. I don't know that I even need the video. Beautiful big forehead. Yeah. Let me. You want to reset, Jonas? We're almost there. So, Jones, I'm sorry. Hey, Jonas, brother. Very cool. And I have not gotten yet in Fragilis. If you wanted to send that, it's my NYCapture@gmail.com. But anybody else, ideally, if you have a Sony file, that would be best because I can capture one. But I'm happy to do Lightroom and do the camera raw or anything. So if somebody has an image that they would love me to edit and do, ideally a portrait or headshot, kind of a face, is what I'm kind of doing. Right? But raise your hand, and I'm happy to do that. Next. So I'll probably do one more. This was kind of a test to see how it's working and whatnot. Continue with this. Almost done with this one, and then. So anyway, so there's the eyes. I think that's a little too much. Gonna put the black brush on here so that I can right around the edges. I went outside the lines. Make sure of that. You can, a way to make adjustment, I lower the opacity of the brush down to say about 20. And I'm going to lighten the highlight a little bit on the softbox there. Selection, that high. And then the overall, I like to zoom out far and see, see the eyes, lower the opacity, the whole thing to maybe like, about 45, about there, look good. You don't want a crazy bright eyes. That looks pretty. Same thing. I'm going to do a curve and lower those teeth. Nice teeth. They got some nice teeth there, but they're too bright for mine. I'm making a curves layer. I got the selection tool. I'm going to select an area here and there. Then I'm going to invert the mask. Come in and paint with a white brush. Big soft brush with the opacity, you could do 100%. I don't think these teeth need to be, no, they're not too yellow. Then adjust, that's 100%. So this is where, Sasha, that I agree with you, do 100% of the thing and then pull it down to see what. Um, so I see another problem here, but I'm not gonna deal with it for this one. There are two things left to do, I would say. Overall, dodge and burn, like the highlights and stuff. I feel like this chest and the shirt are a little too bright, so I'm gonna take that down. Um, and and the light behind him to the left is too bright. Now that issuing evening out backgrounds is the bane of my existence too. I do some corporate headshots and stuff, and I'm like trying to make it perfectly lit, and all that stuff, and I spend so much time in different techniques trying to isolate people and make the background looks like. Sometimes, the thing is, you want to leave gradients in the background. I think it makes drama, right? If you just totally flatten it out and make it one solid color with none of the shadows and stuff like that, then it looks flat and it looks boring. I mean, it's not interesting. So for like a corporate headshot, that's fine. That you're gonna stick just a floating head on a website or something. But for this, I like that there's gradation in it. And if I'm not going to get into because I'm not great at it, but I do think it's too bright over behind him left. So I think of when I'm talking about the overall exposure of the image, like where did my eye get drawn? In the first place, it's fighting between his face, the light spot over on the left, and his shirt are the three spots my eyes are going to. And so I want to take out the distractions of the shirt a bit and the spot behind. And I'm going to do that. I can go back and do that by doing it here. So we'll do it. We'll do it on this dodge and burn layer, or actually do it. I'll do the same thing. Another curves layer. So we'll do curves, and I've got that selector tool, and I'm going to come in on a shirt. I'm going to pull it down a little bit, and about there. Then invert this. Come in with the paintbrush. Exit. And then take the opacity down a bit. 29. Yeah. After. Darken that up a little bit. And then the same thing, do another curve. Again, you can do this with dodge and burn. You can dodge and burn terminal. You can do whatever, but down a little bit. Curve here. Invert this. See, this is going to be, that's the problem. It's selecting like literally where in this. I think that this is where I would have that I'm screwed. So anybody want to chime in on how they would want to do this? Because how to make it smooth when you do want some gradation and you don't want it in other spots and that's a problem. And so I mean, that's similar too to what you had said that you'd like to do for the skin highlights and stuff like that. So just curious, is that, and that's something that the smoothing out, that's something you like to do a lot at the edges, and I've never done that really, I don't think at all. So all right. Well, so I'm not going to mess with that as of now because it's not something I'm great. So again, this is part of why I did this room. Is like that's an idea, an idea of something that I would struggle. Um, yeah, I mean, I would like. So why don't we? I would love to. If you guys want to, follow me here and or my Instagram. Like, I would love to. Let me move on and just do some color with this one and move on to something else. But I would like to, and like maybe we can do something. You can do a Zoom call or something, and go through that with me personally, and that cool. So yeah, overall, I mean, I like the color. I mean, there's I guess color. We could get into why don't we about the next, because you can go crazy with color. So I feel like we did a bunch of things. We got cleaned up the skin a bit. We dealt with or discussed different highlights. We did the Liquify tool on the hair and on the clothing a bit. We did the eyes and the teeth on this image. I think one other thing I would do. So let's not. I'm not going to delve into color on this one, but because I think it looks good. I think it looks pretty good the way it is. But let's let's do the only sharpening that I would do on this would be to, if we were going to do some output, I would do some sharpening on like the eyes and maybe the tip of the nose or things like that. So you could do, if you wanted to merge all of these, Control Shift Alt E, merge them all into a layer, and then go into filter. And I would do high pass, other, then go into high pass. And that was a different, go and just do low radius. So I bring it down all the way till you can't see it at all. Then slowly bring it up till you can just start to see. So maybe 1.7 or so pixels. Okay. And we're going to switch this to, and I'm going to make a mask and invert the mask, Control I. Then come in with the paintbrush, paint where we want some detail. So the eyes and eyebrows, maybe lips, maybe the hair. And by doing this, then I don't do the skin at all, and it kind of leaves the skin a little bit. Maybe you could do like there, they'll pop out. But I think it looks pretty good, and then I would export it to JPEG. I mean, you can, again, with this image, there are still the things that I would I do think it's I like it. There is a pretty harsh shadows here on this side of the face that you might, and then the contra, it's still the highlights issue on this side. So evening it out a little bit more, but I mean, I think it looks dramatic. The clothing, I think all this looks great. I think the jacket looks great, the clothing. And then I would just be worried about the bright spot on the side. Those are issues that I would still have to deal with, think about, but compared to, I think there's the beginning and there's the after. I think it looks like the same image, but up. And again, there's more things, there's more color grading, there's more things you could dive into, but I think that's it for now on this one. Yeah, sure. Send email it to me and I'll open it up so everybody. It certainly is. It certainly is. And I edit in Adobe RGB, and then but as soon as you put it on the web, it's sRGB, and it looks completely different. And so it's like, why am I even bothering RGB? I guess for when I print it, but so if anybody else, I'll reset here. If anybody wants to come up, if anyone has questions about this image or anything that I did before we move on to the other one, and if anybody, ideally a Sony file or anybody dying to have a photo, happy to do that. Raise your hand up and let me know. Otherwise, I will just find to do, and I know well, so it's do that. I know what I. Looking here, Sasha sent me his stuff, so how he edited. Uh, and hello to everybody in the room and all, and I hope that you're getting some value out of this. And I know it, just trying this out to see how. I know there's a little bit of a lag with the stream, so I'm trying to take it slow and talk through the concepts and whatnot. If anybody has any questions or there were things about this after the fact that you still have questions about, you can feel free to DM me on Instagram, and I'm happy to help. And again, I'm doing this. I am not proclaiming. I am a self-taught. I've done the last few years just learning trial and error and trying different things and going to university, all these things. So there are many different ways to. I'm gonna say skin a cat, but I don't know where this expression came from. That's disgusting. But there's many different ways to do this, and so I appreciate everybody chiming in and your feedback and well. So I'm opening up. This is Sasha's edit of it, or one from a similar shot. And I think, and noticing right off the bat, I think something that I still think there is a big highlight on the forehead here, and that's something that you have to you just have to pay attention, and you're whether or not and stylistically, whether that's what you want to do and what you like. But I do like the harmony. I feel like the color harmony that he got going on here and the balance of the image um, is great, and that helps to the skin is more smoothed out. That is something I would do, and that is something go in and balance the skin throughout the whole. Um, and I didn't do that in our example. Um, uh, I think this is definitely more stylized kind of look in the color toning, where I think this one's a little bit more just looks like straight out of the camera kind of. And so yeah, Josh, do you have any thoughts there before we move on to the next one? Um, I do see somebody sent me, Lynn sent me a shot, and I do think, although I think it is a beautiful shot, but ideally I do want a raw file, kind of a profile view, that I could overall kind of adjust some levels and color tone and stuff with that image, but I would prefer something that I did want to try to maybe do color derivative, dodge and burn, things like that. So if you guys want, so I'll give you a last chance here. If somebody has ideally a Sony file, so that I, with my Capture One, that they'd want me to do, raise their hand. Not, I'm gonna. But no, I'm happy. I'm happy to do if somebody else has another type of raw that they want me. I'm fine with that. So I'll just go forward with one. So no, but no, I can't believe all these people. What are you all Nikon and Canon shooters here? There's no Sony shooter. Jeez. Oh God, I'm surprised. So I'm gonna get started here with mine. What we're gonna do. So why don't you reset one last time, Jones, there, and I'll open up mine here. And my camera, you can see it's all blurred, but it doesn't really. There you go. Look at my on cue, my Sony camera blurring out there. Okay, so uh, nice. I dated a Brazilian woman, so I understand broken Brazilian English, or Portuguese English. No, but I spent a couple of years, dating someone from Brazil, so I know what a little bit. Okay, so I'm seeing how far behind the lag is. I think what I want to do I'm going to end this stream and start a new one. So just hang out on the website, but I want to end it, see if I can get it to be maybe a little bit, you know, just change it. So I'm going to end it right now. So you'll have to go in and then click on the new one. That real quick.